cold.
Man.
And the people that are in the Midwest are like, really? You're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you're freezing cold?
I know. I talked to my mom one day this week, and I was like, man, it is so cold. I was like, this morning I woke up and it was only like 40 degrees. And she's like, it's -3 here right now, Michelle. And I'm like, oh, sorry.
I think it was like 17 degrees in DC. So of course, when President Obama came out here, he had to play golf. You know,
Of course.
he just had to.
I mean, what else is on his list of things to do when he's out here? It's not go to the VA.
Of course it's not, but he did do 2 drive-bys.
Because one wasn't enough.
Exactly.
He wanted to get a good look.
Exactly.
Take some pictures, post it on Twitter.
Yeah. He didn't stop and talk to the vets that were lined up out there.
No.
It's fascinating to me, the people that, you know, when I shared that video, and I got to say, my first thought when I heard people on the radio talking about how he was coming here and he wasn't even stopping, my first thought was, man, I am so glad that I am not in the public eye. Could you imagine going somewhere and having everywhere that you go be up for scrutiny?
No.
I would not want to do that. But he knew going into this office that that was going to happen. So, and considering that Arizona is ground, not only Arizona, but that VA that he drove right by is ground zero for the VA scandal. And for him to not even stop in, but I kind of digress. My point was the comments that people made after I shared the video that showed him driving by, the comments of people that are just so blindly supporting everything and anything that President Obama does. Things like, well, could you, maybe the Secret Service decided that it wasn't safe for him to go in the VA. Really? Hold on a second. The VA. Who does the VA serve? Doesn't the VA serve people that have served our country? Nope, they're not safe. Couldn't be safe.
Definitely not.
And then someone that said that if he were to go in, then it would have disrupted all of the appointments for the people that were there. Really?
You know, though,
no.
Don't you think that they would want that interruption?
Absolutely.
You know, to know that, you know what? Okay, hey, I might have to sit here an extra hour, but at least he gives a crap.
Exactly.
You know, so that statement is probably a true statement. However, I don't think anyone that would have been affected by that would have been upset by that.
I don't think anyone that would have been affected would have been offended. Exactly. And to say that that was the reason for not going, we've had other presidents that have gone to hospitals. So it's a completely flawed argument. And yeah, it doesn't work. Did you hear about his thing to free college for the first 2 years?
No.
So yesterday there was an announcement made, and more details of how this plan will kind of unfold will be in the State of the Union address. But I don't know if it's all politics. I don't know if it will have any legs, but basically the gist of it is that your first 2 years of community college will be free for those students that keep a GPA of, and are you ready for this?
Yes.
What do you think your GPA should be to get free education? Like what would you say would be, okay, if you're going to get free.
Okay, I think 3 point. That's a B. That's B's and A's. 3 point and higher. That's B's and higher.
2.5. At 2.0, you're on probation. Academic probation. So 2.5, that's not tough at all. So I don't know. It'll end up costing our country, I think the number I heard was $80 billion.
Christina, you're the worst multitasker ever. Ever. Like a fly can't go by the window and Christina doesn't stop talking. She's like, oh, there's a, and then she stops. Oh, it's a fly.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And you know what's funny is that women are known for being able to multitask.
Yeah. You were not a woman in your previous life. You were something else.
Maybe like an animal.
Well,
I don't think I
might
was
have been
man.
a female animal, but you were not another female human being in your previous life.
Right now, I feel like I might have been a unicorn because I got this pimple that's like right here in the middle of my forehead.
Well, if it was there permanently, I could understand. But it'll go away. Maybe you were a star. Aw, see,
Well,
I can be nice.
yes,
Just
when she
doesn't
wants
happen
to.
very often.
All right. Well, I don't know the financial ramifications for our country if that does get approved. So I think
Is it just community college?
it's just community college. It's the first 2 years.
Mhm.
The number I heard yesterday was, I think, $80 billion. And here's the one thing. Some people that right off the bat oppose this.
Mhm.
I wonder if they also oppose other spending agendas. So when we go to war, look at the large numbers that are spent there. Do they oppose that? And is there an upside? Imagine what our country might look like if education was more readily available.
Mhm.
For example, in Turkey, you can go to school for free.
Well,
There's-
lots of countries you can. You
Exactly.
can in Germany also. So there is a way to do it.
Right.
It's not that it can't be done. The problem with it just being community college, and I have nothing against community colleges. However, if you are going to go on for more, for a bachelor's or a master's, a lot of those classes are not going to transfer to a university. So then,
Right.
are you helping? You are in a way, but not as much as you could for those people that want to go on.
I don't think a lot of, I think that, we've got okay, hold on a second. Some of those classes may not transfer,
Mhm.
but if you work with, like here, we've got Maricopa Community Colleges.
Mhm.
If you work with the universities, ASU, U of A, yes, yes.
Okay, well, my daughter, who got her associates at Paradise Valley
And was
Community
she
College
working with
and looked
ASU?
at ASU,
Not looked at, but talked to ASU.
yes, to
She
go
did.
on for her bachelor's.
Really?
And about 40% of her classes were not going to transfer, which is why she went to the University of Phoenix. More expensive, but everything transferred.
Well,
So there are
University of Phoenix,
colleges-
right, won't apply for this program.
Well, correct.
Right.
But I'm just saying, so, so, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, I think anything to help with education is a better thing, but there are ways to do it to where a student can get a master's or, a doctorate, and the country can pay for that.
Right.
There are ways to do it. I just don't know if our politicians are smart enough to figure that out.
Well, there you go.
Let's just say that. Because I love politicians.
And I was just going to say, if you're just tuning in for the first time, that's Michelle. She just tells it like it is.
And I don't like politicians.
And she'll tell them right to their face.
Right to their face.
Which she
You
has.
cannot call me two-faced. So that is one thing that you will never call me. You can call me lots of things, but two-faced won't be one of them.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's get into the WWW.
Let's
This is
get
where
into it.
Michelle has scoured the web for those stories that are wild, wonderful, and wacky.
So let's start out with, it is the new year.
Yes.
Lots of people have their New Year's, resolutions. You
Yeah.
are doing goals of
Yeah.
your bucket list. So different ways to look at it.
Yep.
But lots of people are trying to change their habits. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
So here is an article. It comes from Huffington Post on 5 ways to become a morning person.
Oh, geez.
So, and I think if you have, if time management is one of those things that is on your list,
Right.
this is good for you. Because I feel like if you're not a morning person, the whole time management thing probably doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not
Okay.
a morning person.
So it says, practice good sleep hygiene.
What is good sleep hygiene?
Well, here's what it says. Most Americans don't get enough hours of quality sleep. So how much anyone needs varies from person to person. However, avoiding food, exercise, and looking at a screen for at least 2 hours before going to bed, minimizing light and darkness, and finding your body's rhythm, which means no caffeine after 10 a.m. or none at all, are crucial.
Why no screen with 2 hours prior?
Well, I think it has something to do with the light.
Hmm.
It stimulates your
So that would mean not
brain.
watching TV in bed.
correct.
Right.
Correct. So
Okay.
anyway,
All right.
that's 1.
Okay.
2, build a healthy morning ritual. So a healthy morning ritual should include peace and prepping your body with some light stretching. You can even do that in bed. Maybe create a skin regimen that you follow each morning. So try starting the day off with like a tea versus coffee, and learn to not hit the snooze button. I don't hit the snooze button.
So far, everything you've described, I'm not doing.
Okay, you probably don't do this either then. Number 3, Create a pre-10 a.m. task list. Morning people often say that they're more successful because they get so much more done. And that's only because they prioritize their tasks and they try to get everything done before 10 a.m.
Wow.
And you should reward yourself by carving out a me time later in the afternoon.
Okay.
4, do as much as you can the night before. Lots of people put things off. They want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Watch that 2 hours of TV before they fall asleep with the light going at their brain. So they don't get a lot done. So they say, put away the dishes, make your lunch, those type of things. Do that the night before.
Interesting.
And 5th is shower the night before. Saves a lot of prep time.
Okay.
And it also helps with the sleep hygiene, which is the first thing. So it relaxes your body and things like that. So you
Sure.
can actually get better sleep.
Interesting.
So there it is. There's
All
the
right.
5 ways to become a morning person.
All right. I will try some of those.
You want me to share that link on your personal page?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, I will do that.
Share it on the No Limits Radio Show page. That way everybody else can benefit too.
I can do that also.
Awesome.
I can't do it right now because I'm not a multitasker. No, I'm just kidding. I'll post it for you guys. I can actually do that. But anyway, okay, so here is an interesting concept. And did you hear about this? This is a Pittsburgh restaurant.
Okay.
Starting in April of this year, they are banning tips.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They were looking at a program of how they could, this is an upscale restaurant. So this
Okay.
isn't, this isn't somewhere where you go a little morning cafe where you get breakfast and it's
Okay.
$20. This is an upscale city restaurant. And they were looking on how they could make a plan for healthcare for their employees.
Okay.
So when looking at it, they decided if they were going to offer healthcare, why not offer a complete employment contract and do away with gratuity altogether? The waitresses, the employee's salary will start at a base of $35,000 plus healthcare benefits and 500 shares of stock.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that
It will
goes.
be interesting to see how that goes. I think that would kind of be a win-win.
I think it is a win-win, depending on like what type of server you are. Because I know like servers at like Morton Steakhouse and things like that, I guarantee they make more than $35,000. I would think, because you look at a tip, it's $240. They have 10 tables, it's $400 or $500 a night. So I feel like they might make more. But depending on kind of where this is, I don't think it's a bad thing. And they said they did not have to. They are not going to have to raise their prices.
That's
So how many more people are going to go there because they have a nice dinner and you're not adding that 20% to the bill
Right.
to tip the waitress or waiter, server. I guess it's a server these days. So anyway, I wish them luck. It'll be interesting to see if more restaurants actually do that.
You know what I always do whenever I tip? I always tip them cash. Because if you add it onto your card, then they have to claim all of that.
Mhm.
But if you just tip them cash, then they get to decide how much they.
So they get a break from the IRS and we don't?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this week, the 8th, was actually Stephen Hawking's birthday. And he turned 73.
Have you seen that movie?
I haven't. Is it out or is it coming out?
It's already out.
I haven't seen
It's,
it.
Oh, geez. What is the name of it?
The Theory
The
of
Theory
Everything.
of Everything. I really want to see that.
Yeah, I do too. But this is 7 little quotes that people say are clever from him. So
Okay.
we'll read those just as a little tribute to Stephen. Number 1, life would be tragic if it weren't funny. To confine our attention to terrestrial matters would be to limit the human spirit. Next, one of the basic rules of the universe is nothing is perfect. Perfection simply doesn't exist. Without imperfection, neither you nor I would exist.
That's true.
My favorite one from him, women. They are a complete mystery.
I was just about to ask you what your favorite one was.
Yeah. And then I also like this one. The downside of my celebrity is that I cannot go anywhere in the world without being recognized. It's not enough for me to wear dark sunglasses and a wig. The wheelchair gives me away.
Oh,
And last, we have people who boast about their IQs are losers.
isn't it interesting? When I read that one, there were several people that just came to mind.
Do you want to share? Who those
I'm
people were?
not.
Oh.
I'm not because I know some.
Chicken.
No, I'm not.
Chicken.
Nope.
You're so no fun. So anyway, happy birthday to him.
That's awesome.
Now we all know about other people in the news. George Zimmerman.
Oh my gosh.
Does everyone know this name?
I would be shocked if anyone didn't know this name.
Yeah. So apparently he was this week about 10 p.m. he was arrested for aggravated assault charge. Now, none of the information about that has been released yet as far as what happened, the incident. However, I found it interesting that since his acquittal, he has had several brushes with the law. This isn't like something, this isn't the first one.
Right.
He was arrested on charges of aggravated assault, battery, and criminal mischief after his girlfriend said he pointed a gun at her face during an argument, smashed a coffee table, and pushed her out of the house. He was accused by his estranged wife for smashing an iPad. That right there is jail time. During an argument at their home. He's been pulled over 3 times for traffic violations. And then he now has this current aggravated assault charge.
So do you think he's been pulled over 3 times because he's a horrible driver? Or do you think that people in that community know that he was guilty and the police are maybe keeping an eye on him?
Okay, but even if you take out the 3 traffic violations, this is going to be his 3rd aggravated assault since the acquittal.
So is that because
he's just an angry individual?
Is it because he's an angry individual? Is it because he knows deep down that he was guilty and he shouldn't have been acquitted? Is it because that act, that moment forever changed him?
Well, if it's a fact of he feels guilty that he was acquitted, I feel there's better ways to
there's always
to act out.
Oh, absolutely.
Like do some type of community service at certain programs and things like that. If you really feel guilty about it, there's better things to do than, aggravated assault.
Absolutely. But remember, we're all very what was it that Stephen Hawking said about us being nothing is perfect.
You're right. Or could it be that the man really is just an angry individual who probably should have been found guilty?
And this is karma.
We love karma. Well, who knows? But I did think it was very interesting that George Zimmerman, and he's been found or accused of aggravated assault on multiple occasions.
And for those of you that don't know, when Michelle says we love karma, her dog's name is Karma.
We do love karma. We love Carmela Fawbush.
She's a beautiful pit bull.
She is. We have another pit bull now.
A baby.
Her name is Mir.
What else do you have? Oh, and what is the meaning behind her name again?
Golda Mir. James wanted the dog was really not a priority for me to add to the family.
Because how many dogs do you have?
Well, I had 3 and this made 4. So,
but there's 5 in your household.
Well, no, there were 5 because my daughter was on vacation. So I had her boxer.
Okay, got it.
So we had 3.
Okay.
We had Oscar, Karma, and Zoe, which is a Great Dane, a pit bull, and a Rottweiler Shepherd mix. And then James found this little pit bull baby, 3 months, and just really liked her. And some of you listening know James and some of you don't, but James is someone who doesn't really ever need anything. Like he's just one of those people, like you very rarely hear him say like, I want this or that, or that's just not who he is.
Right.
And so he sends me this picture of the puppy and I'm like, oh yeah, she's cute. And I kind of ignore the rest of of the thing. She needs a home. I kind of ignore all that. Yeah, she's cute. So then like a couple hours later, but isn't she like really cute? Like Carmen needs a friend. And I'm like, yeah, she's cute. And I, again, kind of ignore it. And then the next day he brings it up again. And I'm like, oh, this is something that he really wants. Like he's not letting this go. Like this is a want of his. And I think in 4 years, I don't know that I've ever heard him really say, I want this.
Right.
When it comes to,
things.
Things.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yes, Golda
Not that
Meir.
not that a dog is a thing. I don't want PETA to get all over us.
Yeah, don't get all over us, but it's not a necessity. Let's say that.
Sure.
It's not a necessity or a goal.
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, so he wanted the puppy, so I get the puppy. And so he wanted to name her Golda Meir.
And the significance behind the name?
She was the prime minister of Israel.
There you go.
So we call her Meir. So that's enough for
And she's very sweet.
I took a picture of her sleeping the other day. I sent it to James and I go, Meir is so precious when she's sleeping. And he goes, only when she's sleeping? And I go, yep, only when she's sleeping.
I just have to say, I don't think you guys can handle any more animals. Between the dogs and the ferrets.
I know.
Yeah.
My house is a zoo.
Anymore. And I'm going to start to get concerned that there's like an animal hoarding situation.
Yeah.
Like on the verge.
Yeah.
So
I know people with more dogs than 4.
that's true.
All right. And last but not least, before we go to break and our guest joins us, is this story comes out of New York, and it disturbed me so much that I have to share this. This is in Gloversville, New York.
How kind of you.
No, really. Here's why this disturbs me. And I feel once I explain the story, I'm going to say I think what the consequences should be.
Okay.
Okay. So they are investigating the death of a 94-year-old woman. Okay. She was 94.
Right.
Chances are she probably just passed.
Okay.
Okay. However, her daughter and her daughter's son, so her daughter and grandson, lived upstairs. His body was in the downstairs part of the house for 14 months. So they are feeling that there's some type of financial aspect to them not reporting this. And apparently
so it's not a case of they didn't know grandma died.
They have to know because the son, Richard Ruler, is a son of the deceased woman who lives in Colorado. He sent Christmas cards to his mom and his sister, and he sent a check in the Christmas card, in his mom's card, and that check was cashed.
Oh my gosh.
So they are treating the death as suspicious. I don't know if her daughter did something to her, but I feel like her daughter definitely has been, not reporting it to probably cash her Social Security checks and whatever. So as far as I'm concerned, it's as guilty as killing her. Put the lady away. That's what I think. I think her daughter should rot in hell.
Okay.
That's what I think. What do you think? It's horrible. That's as bad as killing somebody, letting them that. It's horrible.
It's absolutely horrible.
You don't agree with what she should be guilty of?
Go to prison for life?
Hell yes. That's her mother.
Absolutely.
It's her mom. And we're not talking about a week, 2 weeks, 1 month because I need Christmas money. We're talking 14 months.
What's her financial situation though?
I don't know. And who cares? It's your mother.
I agree. Now let's put you in the shoes of that 94-year-old mother. Let's say, just follow along with me here. Let's say you're that mother and Sydney or Desiree are living in the house with you. And for whatever reason, maybe they are financially dependent on you and you die. Do you really care? Do you want Sydney? No.
My spirit's going to come back and haunt them.
You want Sydney to go to prison for the rest of her life?
No, I want Sydney to be the person that I raised and to call the police and say my mother died.
I don't think we know enough about the circumstances going on here. I want to know more before I say you and your grandson are going off to prison. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I am glad I am not your daughter, or you're not my daughter. That's all I know. Just because if I die, I want to be buried. I don't want to be sitting in my recliner.
But you're gone. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're gone. That's just a shell. It's just your body. Your spirit is
Christina's
gone.
mom, are you listening to this right now?
No, I'm saying if it were me, if my daughter made a bad choice, And I don't know the circumstances of this daughter and what choice she made. But if my daughter made a bad choice, or if my daughter was, I can't imagine a situation where she needed to keep me hidden.
Like
But,
for $250 a month or whatever it is.
I don't know her situation.
I don't either. What she might not have known is her mother might have had like this huge life insurance policy and it left half the money to her. She probably maybe could have been better off if she would have done what was right.
Maybe. But people don't have those conversations about finances.
That is true.
So we're going to go to break. Did you see how I just did that? We're going to go to break. And when we get back, we're going to have some really interesting conversations about finances. So if one of your goals for 2015 is that you want to get your finances in order, if you've got questions about an IRA, a Roth IRA, a 401k, if you haven't started to set up a retirement, have you started to set up a retirement?
I started my new job this last week. So I do now. Yes.
Dang it. I haven't. Zero, nada, nothing. Don't even know where to start. So we have a great guest that's going to help us navigate this big, huge topic. So don't go away, because when we get back, we're going to be talking about money.
She's Christina and I'm Michelle.
There you
right
go.
back.
This is No Limits. We'll be back.
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you will be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org, or call 928-284-2022.
Breaker, 19. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
You're listening to No Limits Radio Show on the Vets On Media Network.
Welcome back. Are you ready for the most amazing 2015 ever from a financial standpoint? Are you
I am.
ready?
Yes,
You
I am.
are.
I am.
Okay.
We've talked about money twice now this year.
I know.
And this is our second show, so this is a good thing.
I love that we're starting this off on 2015. So we have a guest that's going to help us to navigate this big topic, because if you listened last week, Michelle and I definitely have some money obstacles and some money issues to overcome.
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
So we have a guest, an expert that's going to help us with this. Her name is Annie Groth. She brings over 25 years of experience to every client meeting. She's the founder of the Maximization Team, leading individuals to their financial truth. So if you're wondering maybe some of the highlights of her accomplishments, she is an author and lobbyist of Arizona House Bill 2324, which is protecting cash values of life insurance and annuities from creditors. She is the first woman nominated by the National Association of Insurance and Financial. Roth IRAs, 401ks.
It really, again, it depends. I'm going to sound like a lawyer here in a minute, but it depends.
Okay.
The biggest thing question that I always ask people when they're thinking about retirement, will you be in a higher, lower, or the same income tax bracket you're in today?
Well, I would imagine that when you're into retirement, that you would be in a lower tax bracket.
And that's the biggest myth that people believe. And so the reason they think they're going to be in a lower income tax bracket is because they'll live on less money. I always ask my clients, please tell me what part of your life you'll cut out so you can live on less money when you retire. And they always come up with the same answers. Well, I won't have to buy clothes for work. My house will be paid off, all those things. Great. So you're not going to want to travel to see your grandkids. You're not there was a study released by Fidelity that a 65-year-old couple retiring today, their medical care costs alone, not including Medicare and not including long-term care, is $210,000. So when people tell me they're going to be in a lower income tax bracket when they retire, I don't know how that can possibly be true.
Sure.
So when you ask what vehicle, where to save money, the real question and your philosophical belief is, should I pay my taxes today when I know what my tax rate is, or should I wait and take a gamble? So a lot of people, do you own your own home?
No.
Do either of you own your own home?
No, I do not.
So many people who own their own home, they want to have their house paid off when they retire.
Sure.
Right? It's one of the biggest goals that people have in this country. And so they want to have it paid off so they won't have any bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you have your money in a 401k, an IRA, a 403b, a SEP, a simple, I could go on and on,
Mm-hmm.
you have just signed up for a house payment for the rest of your life with the IRS, because every time you take money out of there, you have to pay your taxes. And so let's say, for example, that you want to take out $100,000.
And this is at the point of retirement.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Let's say that you've saved enough money and you want to take out $100,000 for your living expenses this year. So, and before you retired, let's say you were in a 30% tax bracket. Well, if our tax rates increase in this country, as they have over the last several years, let's say that you were in a 30% tax bracket, which means 30 cents of every dollar was taxed before you retired.
Okay.
And now, because of tax increases, and we won't get into politics, but because of tax increases, now you're in a 40% tax bracket. And by the way, in 1961 in this country, the tax rates were 91%. So it's happened in this country already. So what's the strategy for that additional 10 cents of every dollar you'll lose? So a lot of people don't think about those things. So what I really help people do, many traditional financial planners talk about 2 to 4 places where you can put your money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to look at your financial life in a macro sense rather than a micro, there are actually 27 places that you should be looking at about your money. There are 9 in the protection component, 9 in the savings component, and 9 in the growth component.
Okay.
So can you just have one of each?
Well, let's break that down a little
Okay.
bit. So in the protection component, part of that is, do you have the right kind of car insurance? If you were to get
I'm pretty sure we do. We've got great insurance.
We have a great insurance company. That doesn't mean we have the right insurance.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I had 2 young doctors who came into my office, and I looked at their insurance policy, and their liability coverage was $30,000, which means if they got into an accident, it was their fault. If there was one person in the car that sued them, their insurance company was off the hook at $15,000. If there were 2 or 200 people in the car, their insurance company was off the hook at $30,000. So in the state of Arizona, those 2 young physicians could have their wages attached for the rest of their
Oh, wow.
career and lose everything.
So what amount of insurance should you have?
Again, it depends on what your worth is, but I would say people should not have less than 100, 300.
Perfect.
And the ideal is 250, 500.
Thank you, Rusty Creed, and Allstate Insurance.
We'll always give him a plug.
Same thing. Do you have renter's insurance? Do you?
Yep, I do.
Good for you. Liability, and if you have the right amount of assets, do you have an umbrella?
What's that?
It goes over the top. So
I've got an umbrella in the back of my car.
not that kind.
Different one.
It goes over the top of your car and your homeowner's insurance, if you will, or your renter's insurance. So if you exceed those limits, then that
Okay.
one will come in.
Okay.
I call it my I can sleep at night insurance.
Okay.
The next set of drawers is your disability income protection. If you didn't have a paycheck tomorrow, what would you do?
I have Affleck.
Okay, let me ask you that question again. If you didn't have a paycheck tomorrow, what would you do?
I would contact. Oh, if I didn't have a paycheck tomorrow because of what? Because I've been.
You got too sick or hurt to go to work.
I would call the Affleck guy and say, "What do I do next?"
Right. And do you know the answer to that?
I don't.
Right. Do you have disability income protection? So many professionals that I talk to, when I ask them a question, if you can't go to work tomorrow, what are you going to do for a paycheck? I get the blank stare. Well,
Right.
and then they'll say, well, I have group coverage. Well, did you know that can be canceled while you're on claim? Did you know that it's usually taxable? So there are a lot of nuances. Not all insurance companies are created the same.
Okay.
Long-term care, 70% of us will need it. And people, boy, talk about something people ignore is long-term care. They just don't want to have that conversation.
Sure.
Medical insurance is not such a big deal anymore because of the Affordable Care Act. Social Security, this is a real hot button. The cost increase this year was 1.7%, and they say it's cost of living increase.
Mm-hmm.
I think that our inflation rate is kept artificially low because if it isn't, then we have to give more raises to our seniors.
Okay.
The next set in there is, do you have a will and trust? Do you have your advance directives? Who do you want to pull the plug if something happens to you? Right?
Right.
I mean, these kinds of conversations are critical. And then the last couple of components in that drawer talk about trust ownership. And then the last one is life insurance. And do you have life insurance? And so many people think I only need life insurance if I have, kids. That's
Right.
not true.
Well, why is that not true?
There are two different kinds of insurance companies in this country. One is a stock-held company, and the others are mutually held.
Okay.
And so when you have a profit in a stock-held life insurance company, the first people to realize a part of that profit are the shareholders.
Okay.
In a mutually held company, the first people to realize part of that profit are the policy owners. So in other words, your cash value builds. And your cash value, I call them like a super Roth IRA.
Okay.
Because along the way, if you put something on there called a waiver of premium, if you get too sick or hurt to go to work, the life insurance company will pay your premium for you, which means your savings will continue.
Okay.
And so that money grows in a tax-deferred environment. And if you take it out properly, you can take it out tax-free according to IRS tax code 7702. So it builds tax-deferred. You can bring it out tax-free. And oh, by the way, along the way, if you die prematurely, you will have a death benefit.
So now you said that that's what you call the supercharged Roth IRA.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about the difference between term life and whole life?
Term life is for a term. So
those two scenarios of those two different types of companies would not be found in a term life insurance policy.
They both, but they don't have cash value.
Okay.
Term life insurance is just for the death benefit.
See, now it's interesting. Getting life insurance is something that I am very interested in right now. And I immediately thought, well, term life, I've got two teenagers. I'm concerned about if something happened to me, I want to know that they're college and that they're going to be taken care of. So I'm thinking 20-year term life is where I should go. But based on everything you've said right here, right now.
How old are you?
I'm 42.
So my next question to you is, how interested are you in being dead by 62?
I'm not.
Right?
Right.
So if
that is not on my bucket list.
So basically you'll pay your benefit for 20 years. And if you're not dead, you've paid that money and you will get nothing in back. Yeah.
Right.
And
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so the argument is what people talk about who sell a lot of term life insurance just for that reason. What they talk about is, look at all the money you'll save.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about it in this way. If you were to take that money let's say I'll make a number up. Let's say it's $1,000 a year.
Okay.
And to invest that money over the next 20 years, and we'll get some sort of artificial rate of return, let's say 5 or 6%, you'd be better off than putting it into term life insurance. The problem is people who talk about that, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, who talk about that's the right way to buy life insurance, buy term and invest the difference. The problem is people never do.
Okay.
So if you buy cash value life insurance, you have what we call a forced savings. So you put waiver premium on it. You get too sick or hurt to go to work. The insurance company will pay your premium for you. You have to be disabled. The money grows tax deferred, and you can bring it out tax free. And oh, by the way, if you wanted to along the way, you can use it for your children's college education, and it doesn't count against financial aid.
Okay. I want to step back for a second because I want to make sure that I understood that.
Okay.
So you're saying that there is a way to do term life, but you just need to do it a different way.
No.
Okay.
Term is a term is a term.
Okay. So don't
Whether
do
it's
term.
10, 20, or 30. Now, it has its place. I'm not going to say that term life insurance does not have its place. It does. But what you really need to understand is what's my outcome? What's
Okay.
my at the end of the game, what do I want to have happen? Do I want to leave a legacy? Do I want to make sure no matter when I die that I'm covered? Do I want to make sure that I maybe am spending money that's going to actually grow while I'm spending it?
So whole life is the way
Right.
to go.
Right.
And then what is that waiver that you said you
Waiver of premium.
waiver of premium? So get whole life and put a waiver of premium on it. And I'm sure that you help people do this.
Sure.
Okay. Good.
So that's the protection component.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that all those things work together, because let's say, for example, if you got into a car accident and you hit a microsurgeon and you severed their thumb, you're going to get sued, and you're going to get sued for a lot of money.
Sure.
And let's say that you have $500,000 in a CD, you have another $500,000 equity in your home, you have a stock portfolio of a couple $100,000. None of those things are protected from lawsuit. Now, cash value inside of life insurance and annuities is, money inside of 401ks is protected. IRAs can or can't be, depends on the court. But so what you really need to understand is, do I have the right kinds of protection? So that's what we really help people
Okay.
understand.
Okay. And what's the next level that we're going into?
Savings.
Okay.
So the next thing is savings. You know, the first set of drawers is a savings account, those kinds of things, a checking account. I want to know that when I go there, my money's there and it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Second set of drawers, it used to be that we could get a little bit better rate of return on a money market account or a CD. And so we know that's not true anymore. So any of those first 6 drawers, we know we're going to put our money there. It's going to be safe. Hopefully we don't choose a bank that gets in financial trouble.
Okay.
And then the third set of drawers is in the saving component are the annuities, Roth IRAs, 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, SEPs, simples, anything that's got money that's got rules around it. So 401ks, SEPs, simples, those all have rules.
Is that a good thing?
Well, are you a rule follower?
No.
So,
I find loopholes around rules.
well, except when it comes to the IRS.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, like, for example, you wanted to know, and I brought a cheat sheet with me, you wanted to know what the amounts were. So the 401k went up from 17,500 to 18,000 that you can contribute this year. The catch up for people over age 50 went from 5,500 to 6,000. The IRA stays the same at 5,500. So those kinds of rules. And then you can't take your money out until you're 59 and a half, unless, you know, you want to pay the interest or not. I'm sorry, not interest. You want to pay the penalty and taxes.
But even once you do take it out, you're still going to have to pay taxes on
That's
it, right?
correct.
So you're able to put that money in pre-tax dollars, but then when you decide to take it out, you're going to have to pay taxes on it.
Right.
So why is it everyone tells you that you should put your money in a 401k or a Roth IRA?
Well, there are a couple of schools of thought on that. You have become a steward for the IRS, for the government. You're taking care of their money. So when you put that money in there, let's say, again, I'll use 20% because the math is easy. So let's say that you put $10,000 in there. Well, 20% of it, or $200, is not yours today. It will never be yours. And at the end of the game, when you retire and you start to take your money out again, let's say that we'll say your money stayed the same at 10,000. We hope that it grows.
Mm-hmm.
And you have fees inside of there, you have costs inside of there along the way. And whatever the stock market does, like in 2008-9, lost 42%.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say your 10,000 or 100,000 stayed the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in a 30% tax bracket through nothing you've done, but you're in a 30% tax bracket. Now you have to pay 300. What's your strategy? And so the reason that I think that became prominent, we used to have pensions in this country, and the employers wanted to get away from that because that's a really big obligation. Look at the trouble that the state of Arizona has had with their retirement system.
Sure.
So many companies have taken their pensions away. They've robbed their pensions. And so companies didn't want to do that anymore. So they wanted to put the responsibility for saving for retirement on their employees. And so they've created the 401k, the 403b, which is mostly for educators, simple SEPs. Those are all ways to put different amounts of money away.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. If you know that by putting these pre-tax dollars into your 401k or whichever, if you know that $200 or $300, based on the scenario that you had shared, if you know that those dollars are not yours to begin with and they're not yours in the end, is there better use of that $300?
Well, and
so that your total monies, is there a better place to put your total monies than in one of those? Or is it just, it is what it is, and no going into it that you're going to lose money?
Well, the biggest thing why we can't get ahead financially is because we lose the efficiency of our money. So if we can figure out a better way to be more efficient with our money, wouldn't we be better off? And one of the ways that we can create more efficiency with our money is to make sure that whatever we're doing works for us today, tomorrow, and always. So if we know when we're in an environment, we can control the taxes that we're paying, it grows in a tax-deferred environment, and we can bring it out tax-free, wouldn't we be better off? So Senator Roth created the Roth IRA.
Okay.
So that's that whole premise behind that. The problem is that you're still tied into the stock market. So whatever the stock market does, your money's going to do. So the day before you retire, let's say that the stock market takes a dip like it did in 2008 and 9, 42% of your wealth immediately gone. There wasn't a day that I didn't have somebody coming in, I need to cancel my membership. I need to sell my second home. I have to go back to work. So wouldn't it be better off if you could figure out a way to make your money work more efficiently? And some would say that could be cash value life insurance, because again, it works like a super Roth IRA.
And the cash value life insurance is that whole life insurance.
That's correct.
Right? Wow.
So
Everything
really,
I thought yesterday that was the thing that I should be doing is completely turned upside down now. I'm so glad you came on the show today.
well, so really the Roth IRA is the only way to kind of skirt the whole tax thing, because you can do it pre-tax. You can put your money in pre-tax and you can take it out not being taxed, but you're dependent on the stock market. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And 401ks, you can put it in pre-tax, but when you take it out, you're going to be taxed.
That's correct.
Okay. So you either know that you're going to be taxed, or you're dependent on the stock market,
That's correct.
or you put all your money into a cash value life insurance. But we're not supposed to put all our money in there.
No. And there are ways that, that you need to make sure that you're creating a plan that works under all circumstances. So I would say that all circumstances, if you can answer all of these questions, yes, you have a plan that works under all circumstances. Does your plan work no matter if you live too long or die too soon? You get too sick or hurt to go to work, mortgage rates go up or down, interest rates go up or down, taxes go up or down, or if you get into a lawsuit, does your plan work? And if you can answer yes to all of those, you have the ideal financial plan. And most people can't answer yes to that, to all of those. So you need to make sure, whomever you're working with, whatever you're doing, that you're looking at your financial life in a holistic manner rather than a micro.
Okay.
And so many times people just want to look at 2 to 4 places and then they're done.
Well, but isn't that because, I mean, let's be honest, the average person isn't able to do on their own what you're suggesting that everyone does, because we don't know, am I covered this way or that way? So really, you have to have a financial planner to do this, because regardless of if I go online and Google this and this, I'm not a professional in this, so I don't know, I might know, okay, I can put 3% in my 401k, but to be able to answer all those questions, I don't know where to put everything.
Right.
So the average person really does have to have a financial planner to be able to answer those questions.
Right.
Would that be
Right.
an accurate statement?
Think about this. If you were to make a big circle on your piece of paper, and in that circle, that there are 3 kinds of knowledge in the world, only 3. The first category is that you know what you know. How big is that? It's a sliver, right? Of all the knowledge in the world, it's a sliver. The next part is that you don't know. For example, I know that I don't know how to be a dentist, right? That leaves the biggest one is you don't know that you don't know. And if you don't know that you don't know, you can't ask the questions.
Sure.
And that's when people get into trouble. Does that make sense?
You know what? My mind feels like it's completely blown today because you have made talking about money and talking about these topics really easy to navigate in a way that I've never experienced in my entire life. Where were you 20 years ago?
Not in this business.
Well,
I'm only 15.
Oh, I was going to say, I can go back to her bio and tell you where she was. It's like a timeline of success right there.
So, that's the savings component. And then the last set of drawers is the growth component. And that's where everybody wants to be. But if you were to make an imaginary line, once you cross that line, all safety's gone. So, the first 2 sets of drawers, we have some safety depending on where you are. The next set of drawers are bonds. Some of my older, wealthier clients want to be in bonds. And I always ask them why they want to invest in streets and sewers. Well, they're safe. And it's like, well, Orange County declared bankruptcy, Rochester, Detroit. Why are bonds particularly safe?
Okay.
And then the next set of drawers are mutual funds, stocks, preferred stocks, etc. And people want to be in the stock market. They want to take, oh my gosh, the stock market's up over 18,000. Yahoo. Well, what are you going to do when it goes back to 9? So, again, and what are you going to do if it goes to 21? Most people will sell when they're in a panic rather than when they've made money.
Right.
They don't want to take advantage because if it goes up again, I'm going to miss it. I just had a woman yesterday in my office, she talked about, well, should I wait? Should I wait before I do this, Annie? Well, what are you going to wait for? Because if I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't be working. I'd be a gazillionaire, right?
Right.
And then the last set of drawers is, do you own your own business, your home, any rental properties? And so those 27 places that you can put your money, you really need to look at all 27 places to make sure that they're coordinated and integrated and working together.
And I'm sure that for each person, this is going to be different. And that's the reason why people need to just come in and sit down and talk to someone just like you or talk to you to kind of navigate which is the best route.
But let me ask you this, and I know there's hundreds of scenarios, but let's say, and I could be wrong, but I would assume that a lot of people listening are just maybe your middle class kind of living paycheck to paycheck type person. If there's one, if I can only do one thing, because each week I literally, let's say each week I have $50 to play with that I would not miss. What would you say? What is, if you can only do one thing, if right now in your life you can only do one thing, what would you recommend?
I have a friend who is a self-made millionaire, and she laughs about it. She said, I didn't do anything special. I just saved 50% of everything I ever earned. So a lot of people can't save 50%. They have that $50. Save it. And what you can begin to do is save it somewhere. Now, I might be a little conservative. I might save it somewhere that it's safe, maybe gets a small rate of return, but until you can establish clearly that you can establish that path and that track, and that you can, again, build that muscle to save your money, then you can decide where you want to invest it, because there are costs to invest.
Sure.
Like, for example, if you invested in A-share mutual funds, 5.5% of your money is going to be gone immediately. Mm-hmm. And so you need to make sure that it's not something that you're going to have to go back to and take out. Now, if you, like a lot of people, one of the common myths is compound interest is a miracle. People say Albert Einstein said that. He didn't. He said the compounding of numbers is a miracle. So let me give you an example. Let's say you put $10,000 in the bank, and we'll go back to the good old days, and you're going to get a 10% rate of return. Math is easy. So next year you'll have 11,000. The year after that you'll have 1221, so forth and so on. So you're compounding interest, right? But anytime you're making more interest, who's got their hand out wanting part of it?
The government.
Right? Compounding interest and taxes side by side. So you put that $10,000 in a CD. It hasn't matured yet, but you get your 1099 at the end of the year because your taxes are due. Will you take the money out of the CD and suffer the penalty, or will you take it out of your other pocket? You'll take it out of your other pocket, right? So now what you've created is a lost opportunity cost. Right. And so it isn't that I'm not saying you shouldn't save money. You need to understand the consequences. Remember, if you don't know what you don't know, you'll make mistakes and you'll lose the efficiency of your dollars. Make sense?
It does.
So the first thing someone has to do if they're just starting, they haven't looked at anything for their future, is they have to consistently know that they can set X amount aside each week or bi-week or whatever their pay structure is.
Absolutely. And if you're going to go see a financial advisor, my criteria for someone to come see me, you don't have to have millions of dollars.
Well, that's good.
But you can't sit across the desk with your arms folded and say, I know that. I already know that. That won't work. I'm interested in people who are curious. I want people who are open to new ideas and people who have not only the willingness, but the capacity to save money. And
so someone has to come to you and say, hey, I've been saving for 12 months, or I've been saving for 6 months, for you to say, okay, they're interested in doing this.
Right. I mean, they don't have to have established that pattern already, but they have to have the wherewithal, because I can't pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Sure.
I'd like to, but I haven't figured out how to do that one yet.
It's very interesting. Huh.
So a couple of things that are barriers, since we're in a room with a couple of women that I'm talking to, and I'll just talk to some of the women out there. I think men probably have this too, but they camouflage it better. One of the things that stops women from saving money is shame, or having conversation around money is shame. I haven't done enough. I haven't started it. I don't have enough. I've wasted too much. I shop too much.
I'm not good with money.
Right.
I don't know where to begin.
I'll let my husband do it. I'll let my partner do it. And I'm just going to tell you that is one of the biggest paralyses that women have. And it just is one of those things that until you bring it out of the closet and begin to have the conversation with it, you won't go anywhere. I tell you, one of the greatest gifts of books that I think that a woman could read are The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And if you can begin to understand your shame triggers around money, you can begin to become unparalyzed.
Awesome. I got a new book to read. Wow. There has been so much information today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. What do you think is in all the women that you've worked with and understanding this relationship to shame and money, what do you think is the first step to kind of overcoming? Is it just talking about it? And if that's the first step, what's the next step?
Talk to someone who can. Empathy is really a great thing to have, but then you need to be able to talk to someone who can actually help you
and give you actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to your mom or you talk to your neighbor and you all are in the same sandbox, if you will,
Sure.
you're not going to make any progress.
Sure.
So come out and talk about it, but talk about it with someone who can help you. I think that's one of the first key components.
My mom's like a big saver. She was a banker.
That's probably helpful.
So oh no, it's not. Because
No.
I'm one of those people, like you said, a lot of women are like, oh, I just don't want to talk about that, or I don't know how to do it, or whatever. So I know my mom is good at that. She's a banker, but
how do you feel about talking to her about it though?
no, my mom's pretty open. I'm just always I've always been the really independent one. So I think that it takes a matter of saying, okay, I'm not so independent in everything. As a general rule, I might be pretty independent, but that doesn't mean I'm independent everywhere.
Right.
So, yeah.
So one of the biggest questions I'll ask is if something you thought to be true wasn't, when would you like to know?
Immediately.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right. So that's again, it's you don't know that you don't know. And if you don't have the right questions to ask, it'll be a spin.
It's just a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone wants to contact you, what is your email address or what website should they go to?
My email address is agroth, Groth, at financialguide.com. And my phone number is 480-538-2987. And if I can tell your listeners to do a couple of things, take the first step, but the biggest thing, and especially for women, protect your income. Do you have disability income protection, and do you have the right kind, and do you have the right amount? Because imagine your life if you didn't have a paycheck tomorrow.
And what is the right kind of disability income?
The one that's going to pay you when you get too sick or hurt to go to work.
And does that pay you what you're currently making?
No, the disability is set up to pay a maximum of 66 2/3. But if you own your own individual disability policy rather than group, because you're paying for it with after-tax dollars, the benefit will come to you tax-free.
Okay.
So 66 2/3 is about what you'd get net anyway.
Okay. Anything else that you feel our listeners really need to know?
Go talk to somebody. Don't wait. Find somebody that you're comfortable with. Go talk to them, see if their values match with your values, and go talk to someone and stop waiting.
So we have people that are listening to us from all over the country. Can they call you, or do they need to be here in Arizona? No.
I work with people all over the United States. I'm licensed in, a lot of different states.
Okay.
And Arizona, we're lucky, is a reciprocal licensed state. So if there's a state I'm not licensed in that someone would like to talk to me, I can get licensed in that state.
And for those that are here in local, I know that you do these great Pearls of Wisdom events. Do you have another one coming up?
It is coming up. I'm hoping February 18th. We don't have that tied down. I'm changing the location.
Okay.
And so as soon as I have it, certainly it'll be announced.
Okay. And where will that be? So you'll have to let us know so that we can let our listeners know all about it.
I'm hoping to get it at the National Bank of Arizona Center on 24th Street.
Oh, wonderful.
That's what I'm working toward.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Well, I am going to be at that one, February 18th. I have heard such amazing things about the way this event is put on, the information, from the food that's there to the information, the whole experience. What?
I just love that the first thing Christina says is the food that is there. She's
I'm
not
on
eating
a diet right now,
Yeah,
and I
she's not
really
eating-
want food.
She's not eating carbs right now, so good food is like at the top of her head.
It is.
I heard there's good food.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, Annie, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This has been, I just feel like 2015 is going to be so incredible, and that we're looking at all areas and for no limits. I really feel like this is when we've really started to dive into money. So thank you.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having
Thank you
me.
so much.
And we will share your website link on the No Limits Radio Show page so that everybody can connect with you. We're going to take a quick little break. And then when we get back, we're going to have JD from JD's Rockin' Sports, and we're going to talk about football. Because as you may know, we got playoffs today.
Yes,
Annie,
we do.
who's your team?
Broncos.
Okay.
Who's playing today? I don't even know.
I-
Seattle and Panthers?
I know that. I think the Patriots are playing today.
I think we're going to have to wait till JD comes in.
Yeah,
so that we
because
can
I'm not
figure out-
exactly sure, but I
Yeah.
am going to root for the Panthers. I'm
We
gonna
got
go
games
for the
today.
underdog.
We got games tomorrow. And right
Buckeyes
here,
play on Monday.
that's
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay,
Okay,
there's-
college
Yes.
football.
Okay. I'm still learning football. I was like, wait a minute. This is not an NFL team.
You were trying to think of what city I was talking about,
I
right?
was.
Yeah, I know. The Ohio State University Buckeyes play Oregon on Monday for the national championship. So
Okay. So go them.
go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, ready? OH.
I-O.
Yes.
All right. So when we get back, we're going to talk not college football. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. We are lucky right here in Arizona that we've got the Super Bowl. There's some great events coming up here in the Super Bowl. So anyway, we'll be back in just a minute.
She's Christina and I'm Michelle.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Breaker, 1-9. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face to face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you will be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org or call 928-284-2022.
You're listening to No Limits Radio Show on the Vets on Media Network.
Welcome back. Welcome to the show.
One of these days we have to do one of those things where we record what goes on like in between
Between the breaks.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, I'm glad nobody can hear what goes on between the breaks.
Don't worry, I took care of that for you. I just told everybody all about it.
All right. So as we were talking about before we went into the break, we've got Super Bowl in Arizona. There's so many events taking place right here in Arizona. One of the events that if you're here local or you're going to be local here in Arizona for Super Bowl week, there's an event, Gaming to Give, which is a celebrity event. And I will share the event on our Facebook page. Money goes to different charities related to the NFL, and they've got a whole list of celebrities that are going to be there. And that's going to be at Talking Stick. But first, before we can get to the Super Bowl, we've got to get through the playoffs. So I have brought JD from JD's Rockin' Sports. And if you love sports, I want you to stay tuned because his show is right after our show. All right. So JD, what games do we have today and what are your predictions?
Oh, wow. Today, we got the Baltimore Ravens going into New England, take on the Patriots. That's the early game. Early, that's 2:30 our time, 4:30 Eastern. Then the night game is the defending Super Bowl champions, Seattle Seahawks, hosting the Carolina Panthers, the team that went in 7-8-1 and won their first playoff game last week against the Arizona
they beat
Cardinals.
the Cardinals. Do you know how sad I was? Like, it was a very sad day in our house when they lost.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people, when a team beats their team, they want to see them fail. Like, I want them out. And I'm kind of the opposite because I'm like, okay, listen, if they beat us, at least I would like to know that the team that beat us was so good they won it all. So,
but
I'm going for the Panthers.
Considering the quarterback that we have, Lindley, they didn't beat us. They beat Lindley, but that's just my opinion. All right, fine. The whole team was in it.
Yeah, it is called a team.
Right.
It's not Lindley out there all by himself.
My question is, as bad as Lindley played, how bad is your guy that's backing him up not to go into the game? How bad is he that you didn't even turn at one point and said you need to go in?
Because they passed up the third string to go to the fourth string?
No, they had their third. Lindley was the third string.
I thought Lindley was
the rookie is the fourth string.
Okay.
How bad is that rookie that he doesn't get into this game as bad as Lindley was playing?
Well, so between the Panthers and the Seahawks. See, that's who I think too. Now, the Ravens are going to be playing the Patriots, and they're playing there.
They're playing in Gillette Stadium, yes.
Is that an open stadium or?
It's open.
It's open.
I've been there many times.
So do you think the weather's going to have?
No, because it's Baltimore. I got to tell you, as a Patriots fan, the one team that I did not want to see the Patriots have to play was the Baltimore Ravens.
Why?
Because they beat us 2 out of the last 3 times in the playoffs in New England. They know how to play our offense. Their defense can attack our offensive scheme.
So do you think that will motivate the Patriots to do even better? Like, objectively, setting your fan view aside, objectively, just looking at it from a sports perspective, who do you think is going to win?
Objectively, New England Patriots, because the 2 out of the 3 came without Rob Gronkowski, who's arguably the best tight end in the league, and without LeGarrette Blount. So they didn't have a running game, and they didn't have their passing game down the middle anytime that they played them. So all they had to do was play cover 2 and just blitz like crazy. Now their linebackers are actually going to have to cover.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't think they can do that. I don't think there's a defense in the league that can cover Gronkowski.
All right. Now going into Sunday, what are the games?
Well, wait, hold on. Who do you think's going to win between the Panthers and the Seahawks?
Well, I'm taking the defending champion Seahawks, one, because they're at home. Everybody says that when you play the Seahawks, you play 12 men, which is why they have the 12th men flag. But they're the defending champions. They look just as good right now as they did look last year when they went into the playoffs, where their defense just came in to the playoffs, absolutely dominating teams.
Right. So today your picks are the Patriots and the Seahawks.
Both 1 seeds will move on.
Michelle, you?
I'm going for the underdog in both of them. I'm going for the
Really?
Ravens and the Panthers. I like to see the underdogs win,
She was on my show.
I'm
I
out
took
of
her
the
out.
pool now, and
Okay.
and the football pool is over. So I'm
Okay, now,
I'll
Who
go for
won that,
underdog.
by the way? Can I
love
just
that
throw that
you-
out there?
Yeah. So
JD
who-
won the football pool,
Thank
okay,
you.
So
There's
JD
one.
won the football pool, and who was? So he gets the
nice award.
nice award, and then the big ass award. Who
The
won?
the in the rear award,
Who?
the third annual in the rear award that goes to the, I don't want to say worst, I don't want to say last place. I just want to say the person that had the most trouble picking the games this year goes to Miss Christina Wagner. So
Would it make you feel better if we said it was the big ass award? Because that's what you just called it.
Well,
Yeah.
of all the people,
I
have
love the
biggest
in the
ass.
rear award.
I have the biggest ass.
Well, then I guess we'll just call it the biggest ass
Just
award
call it
because
the big ass award.
then you can say that you got that because you had the biggest ass, not that
Exactly.
you were the
No,
worst
see
person.
the in the rear award, which was previously won by Larry Kraft last year and our very own Adam Bird the year prior. So yeah,
You know
so
what
I want to
kills
carry
me?
on that tradition.
But you know what kills me is that the year before, when it was my first year playing this fun pool,
Mhm.
is that I like finished in the middle. This and that year I
Let's
was
talk
going,
about this real quick.
but that year I was going by how I felt about this city versus that city because I met somebody here and da 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 and my sister da da da, and so I was all about the feeling. And this year I started actually watching the game and started making predictions, and that totally screwed me up.
So next year you're going back
I'm just
to
going back to feelings.
There you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But you also lost a bet to one Rob Milne, which I would like to have pictures because you made that bet on my show. So that means I have to have pictures of you
What was the
paying off
bet?
that bet.
The bet was between us because I was getting really confident and really cocky.
Yeah, she was.
And I thought I was going to beat him.
Yeah.
And I even had a 10-point spread. And if I lost, then so for losing, I have to wear a Cowboys shirt in different places all over the valley that he gets to pick. If he had lost, he had to wear a Redskins jersey. And I really,
Redskins?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Washington Red, yeah, because that's he does not like them at all. Big like Cowboys rivalry.
Yeah, but this isn't even a big deal for you because I see you on Facebook with cowboy hat and shirt on all the time.
You know,
So
that's
this
a
is
good
nothing.
point. That's
Yeah.
a good point. Because when she made the bet, I didn't see that. But all this season, I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, this is a bunch of crap. This is nothing.
We need to
shouldn't even
retool.
happen.
Well,
what's
we
the
really
point of it
can't.
if it does? I mean,
You know what?
you are.
We can't flaw her for being prepared for the moment.
No, listen. If it's something like when I think James and Adam had one, I mean, you would never see
Yeah, but
Adam
she's not going to
Bird.
shave her head, though.
There's
That's-
No,
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 way
no.
I'm shaving my
Okay.
head.
But what I'm saying is you would never see Adam Bird in a Chicago shirt and you would never see James in a Packers shirt.
I have
Then I
pictures of Adam
understand it.
Bird in a
Hold on,
Chicago
but
shirt.
That's
He
because
agreed
he
to
lost
it.
a bet.
He agreed to it. That was the bet. He agreed
That's
to
a bunch
it.
of crap. You
Well.
you are so she has you wrapped right here. Like you didn't even say that doesn't even count as a bet. Like, you suck, Rob.
He came up with the rule. Okay, so
Okay.
anyway,
So moving on to Sunday.
Oh yeah,
Moving
because
on.
we have like 2 minutes.
Sunday.
good intro to the next game though. The Dallas Cowboys are playing the Green Bay Packers
Yes.
I
In
hate
Green Bay.
both
in Green Bay. Okay, I think this is going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think that the Packer defense can stop the Dallas offense, and vice versa. I don't think the Dallas, I don't think Dallas defense can stop the Packers offense, and I don't think the Packers defense can stop the Dallas offense.
So who do
So-
you predict?
Oh wow! You can't go wrong with picking Green Bay in the playoffs.
So that's who you're picking?
You just said you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I'm picking, but I'm telling you, it's going to be that close of a game. This is not going to be a blowout. This isn't going to be the case of a Southern team going up north. This isn't going to be the case of any of that. It's going to be an extremely close game, and if Dallas pulls it off, I would not be surprised. But it's Green Bay at home in January at 6 degrees. Even the players from Detroit were freezing.
But the Cowboys play a great game on the road. They do. They play great.
Hey,
on
we're
the
not going to
road.
listen to you because you came in
Here's an
last.
interesting fact. This is the first time in NFL history where an undefeated home team has played an undefeated road team.
I was going to bring that up. Good call. So I got Dallas, and then the game with Denver hosting.
Oh wait, so you are picking Dallas?
Excuse me, Green Bay. Sorry.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then Colts and Broncos.
I'll probably change that in about 10 minutes. the Colts and the Broncos, great shootout. I'm picking the Colts. I'm picking the student to defeat the teacher. I think they can do it. They beat them before. They haven't beat them in the playoffs, facing the playoffs. I think Andrew Luck's, I think it's his time to step up and be like, all right, it's your turn to retire. This is my world now.
All right. I'm picking the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and the Patriots. Those are my picks.
I'm picking Packers
You picked all
and
home
Broncos.
No, you didn't, except for the Cowboys. Good. I like that.
Go Broncos.
Yeah, Packers. I hate the Packers, but I hate the Cowboys worse, so I got to go with Green Bay.
All right.
Hate
Well,
the Cowboys. All
we'll
right.
find out later today and
Yes, we
tomorrow who's right.
Go Buckeyes.
All right. So stay tuned because up next is JD's Rockin' Sports. This has been No Limits. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. No, we will not. There's no show next week.
See you in 2 weeks. She's Christina. I'm Michelle. Have a great weekend.
Oh, Satan.